So that's how I ended up sitting in a lay-by for 7 hours. Hello and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel. Now, as you'll know from the road trip videos, I've explored some of Europe's most challenging roads in a variety of cars, and these mega adventures have passed by without incident. So it came as a bit of a shock to find myself stranded by the roadside for 7 whole hours in my Audi R8 and then parted from it for a whole 3 days as a result of a gentle drive on a 40-mile-per-hour Welsh road, which caused £5,000 worth of damage to its wheels and tyres. So in today's video we're going to go back to that famous Welsh road to see exactly what caused the damage so it doesn't happen to you too, and then I'm going to share with you my real world experience of calling upon one of the UK's largest recovery firms, whose service, shall we say, left quite a lot to be desired. But before we get started, let me just remind you guys how you can support the channel. As ever, the easiest way is simply to subscribe, but another way that can benefit you as well as me is to sell me your interesting Volkswagen Group vehicle. I'm still buying for a very trusted dealer, but I'm also now buying for my own stock, so I can be very open-minded about what I buy. I'm currently looking for cars with a full service history, completely unmodified, in really good condition, and with average mileage or below. So if you've got something like that coming up, because say for example you're taking delivery of one of these over the next few weeks, like I know a lot of you guys are, then get in touch with me directly by email, andrew@volkswizard.co.uk. Right, now let's go to Wales. Well, welcome to the A4069, also known as the Black Mountain Pass, also known as the Top Gear Road, because Clarkson drove here in 2011 in I think a CLK Black, and ever since then it's been a popular destination for driving enthusiasts. Though actually it's not a particularly brilliant driving road because it's 40 miles an hour and there are average speed cameras. Although, to be fair, some of the corners, you know, can be quite tricky at 40, but generally, yeah, I only come here for the scenery. I was on my way back from Pembrokeshire, where I'd stayed for a couple of nights, and this seemed like a good route to take to head back towards sort of North Wales. And Kate, who was with me at the time, had never been on this road. Which reminds me, I'm doing 40, I've just been overtaken by a Merc, not Clarkson, doing, I'd say, about 60. Back in December 24, the average speed cameras were chopped down. Now what I've noticed is that the edge of the road is littered with white stones and rocks. Oh dear, has someone gone off here? Yeah, looks like some sort of Porsche. It's being dragged out. Oh dear, so another journey on the Black Mountain Pass has ended abruptly. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's this descent, and it is littered with rocks. Why can't we have Armco like they do in the Alps? Not rocks. Because Armco's in your eye line, these rocks aren't. So I'm pretty sure we were coming down this section, you know, it is quite narrow, and as you can imagine, a car coming the other way, not on its side of the road, would cause me to go over to the edge, and there some of these rocks are right up against the tarmac. So I think we made this corner. Watching the sheep, I definitely didn't hit a sheep. That definitely wouldn't have done as much damage to a tyre. It was something very right angled. So here, I mean, no, I wouldn't have gone off there. Could maybe clip that. It's quite possible on the apex of that corner. I'm pretty sure that was it, but we'll go back and have a look at it. At the time it was just a thump, 2 thumps, so the car was still driving down here perfectly normally. We had to keep on going because there's literally nowhere to stop. Okay, so we pulled in here and I didn't realise I'd hit the back wheel as well. I looked at the front wheel and yeah, there was a triangular sort of chip in the wheel, but it was okay. So we carried on down here thinking we'd got away with it. And then now I think we could hear the tyre, I wouldn't say delaminating, but it was definitely making a lot of noise, like it was flapping around in the wheel arch. What I think had happened was that the rock had damaged the sidewall of the back tyre and it decided to pop, and it must have been somewhere around here because we pulled into the first thing we could do. It was actually somebody's driveway. Just before that there are a couple of roads which we didn't ditch into, which probably would have been better, but we were just lucky that the lady who lived in the bungalow wasn't going out that evening. This all happened at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got onto the, I couldn't remember who my breakdown cover was with because I'd never use it, but it was the RAC and they said use the app. I got on the app and reported it, and they said 7:20 to 10:20, so not brilliant, but it could be worse, and it was worse. So I looked on the map and I found a campsite that was just down the road, and then we eventually saw the owner, Bob, who was opening up the little bar in the garden, and he was really helpful. He felt really sorry for us. He said, you know, use our facilities, you can stay in this little room, it's warm, but we had to get back to the car for 7:20. Okay, we're heading back to the car then on the road that goes up to the Black Mountain Pass. Kate's still managing to smile, and the RAC should be due now, but they've given us a 3-hour window till 10:20, which I'm sure we'll be in a different mood about if it does come to being that late. And we just sat waiting then because we knew it would be at some point between 7:20 10:20. So I think we watched a film on my phone. We were lucky we had mobile phone data and we had battery. We're also lucky that we had some stuff with us because we'd stayed the night in somewhere the night before, so we had warm clothes, we had our medications with us, and this is it. This is where we spent 7 hours of the bank holiday Saturday, yeah, just in this little driveway here. She won't want to see this car again probably. So yeah, at 10:20 the RAC rang up a local recovery company from Llandovery, and he arrived. He was ringing me up saying, I'm on my way, where are you, can I see you? And I told him where we were. I think we were on our way to Llandovery at 11 o'clock, okay? About a half an hour journey there. Well, it's getting on for about 11:30. I had to puncture about 4 o'clock, so 7.5 hours. We're in Llandovery now in NRG Recovery, New Road Garage. This is their office, and I can't really work out that map. I presume we're somewhere around here. But yeah, Steve, the recovery operator, who's from Amersham, Bucks, normally he's retired out here, it's been great. The RAC were then trying to get us a taxi to get us home, because we had to leave the car in Llandovery, which wasn't ideal, and that came at 1 o'clock. If you can imagine, you're in the middle of nowhere really, you've got to find a taxi driver who actually wants to drive you all the way back to the Midlands, which is like a 6-hour round trip, at 1 in the morning. Anyway, amazingly they found a guy. He turned up in his boss's Arteon estate, or shooting brake, and yeah, he took us back. He seemed pretty good, but I couldn't really work out the route. I'm sure loads of you guys have been in taxis and you're wondering why they're going this route. This was genuinely weird because we were heading north and we ended up in Booth Wells from Llandovery, when we could have gone back via Abergavenny and the A40 and M50, and then we ended up on the A44, so we basically did two sides of a triangle. When we got to Worcester, I was like, hang on a minute mate, the M5's here and you're going this way. Are you sure your nav's not telling you to get on to avoid motorways? And he said, oh well, I didn't program it, so it's some special nav thing he had on his phone for taxi drivers. And anyway, he got on the M5 and blimey, that was a relief, because Kate had puked up because the road was so gnarly. It was like a stage of the RAC rally. It might even have been a stage of the RAC rally back in the day. I was hoping to get some sleep, but there was no chance on the route that he'd taken. We got home at 4 in the morning. But that's not the end of it. My car's still in Wales. It's a bank holiday weekend. The recovery guy said he's not leaving the area till Tuesday at the earliest, because he'll have a lot of business in the area with recoveries, with it being a bank holiday. So I knew that wasn't going to happen. Then on Tuesday I got a call, some really confusing messages from the RAC, basically saying the car was going to be recovered from Strensham services. So presumably Steve from North Road Garage NRG had dropped it off at Strensham, and a guy from Kidderminster who was really good brought it back to me at work near Leamington Spa. Well, I've not seen my car since Saturday, and it's just turned up on the back of this truck. So yeah, let's see what state it's in. Both recovery people had detachable beds on their recovery trucks, so there was no ramps and all that stuff to worry about. The bed just came down, and even this drove up, the Landovery one, with a flat tyre without making contact, which is really, really good. So that's how I ended up sitting in a lay-by for 7 hours and getting home 12 hours later, when it should have been sort of 2 to 3 hours later. Right, now let's go and see the rock that did the damage, and you can tell me if you think I was stupid to hit it, or the council are being negligent for just leaving it there on that corner, I think. So yeah, let's head back. Actually, before we go back to the pass, which is just there, I thought I'd pop back to Cosmos Camping, who were our saviours on that night where we were stuck down the road. So I brought a bottle of fizzy stuff to give to Bob and Alex as a thank you, which is right here. I actually can't get in my lay-by down there because there's somebody in there with a flat tyre on the silver Toyota, so yeah, they might be having a long wait. Hiya. Did you by any chance hit one of the rocks?
There you go.
Did you hit one of the rocks on the side of the road?
I think I must have, yeah.
Right, that's interesting, because I've come back to see what I hit last week. I'm on the pass, it's really quiet, that's why I've come so late. I'm in a fluorescent tabard as well, and I just want to walk this fateful mile, well not even a mile, it's going to be like about half a mile, and see what I have clipped. You've got to bear in mind, this isn't a wide road, this is an A road, it's not a B road. Oh, pretty. Oops. It's an A road, okay, it might be the Black Mountain Pass, but it's used by a lot of people, including commercial vehicles, which are probably going to be about here when they're going that way. Yeah, I think this one looks like a likely culprit. So, I mean, it's in the frickin' tarmac. Look, this is the tarmac, this is the rock. You can probably even see my tyre mark on there, I'm pretty sure. That's it. Yeah, no, that's definitely it. I mean, I did think, okay, I shouldn't be hitting stuff that's not on the tarmac, but it's actually within the bloody tarmac. Anyway, let me know what you think of that. Just bear in mind, you're coming down here and you might meet traffic here. You might put a wheel up to the edge of the tarmac. That's what I do at home, no problems. So rather than hit something there, you'd rather go for that, but that just doesn't seem right to me. But if you think I'm making a big fuss over nothing, then let me know in the comments. My word, this is an amazing country. Amazing. Look at it. Now, obviously I don't endorse this, but this is the speed camera that was chopped down just before Christmas. It's been stripped of anything valuable. There's no cables, no cameras, no batteries on it. I can't honestly see this happening going back up, because it's just so easy to cut through this stuff with the portable angle grinders. Look at that, it takes seconds. Okay, and now I just want to clarify a few of the points raised by what you've seen so far. Now, like a lot of cars, the R8 does not have a spare wheel. It comes with some tyre foam, which would have been useless in this situation. In fact, from experience, it's pretty useless in most situations. So if you own a car like this, then being stranded at the roadside for quite a long time is a risk that you take. However, there are a lot of cars that have the room for a spare wheel, but they don't have one. For example, Mark 8 and 8.5 Golf, they can be spec'd with one from the factory for about £250, which I think is money well spent. Or if you bought the car without a spare wheel, you can find one from a 7 or 7.5 where they were standard for not a lot of money on eBay. Make sure obviously you get the tools as well, and that'll fit under the boot floor perfectly as if it was fitted by the factory. But if you own an R or a Club Sport Mark 8 8.5, just make sure the space saver will clear the calipers. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It just means that when you have to deal with a puncture on the front, you'll have to move a good wheel from the back and put it on the front, which is quite easy because when you use one of the factory jacks on the front jacking point, it lifts almost evenly the front and the back of the car anyway. So how did we get to £5,000 worth of damage? Well, I got a quote for 2 wheels and a back tyre, and that came to £4,912. But since getting that quote, I've noticed there's actually damage to the sidewall of the front tyre as well. So the wheel's definitely damaged, but there's a bit of damage to the protective rim, and that could signify structural damage to the sidewall. So it would be a good idea to replace it, and that would take it well over £5,000. Now I could get the wheels refurbished, but there is actually metal missing from both of the wheels where it hit the right angled rock. The reason the impact was so catastrophic was because all the force was concentrated on the edge, so the last sort of few centimetres of the wheel. There's a high chance the wheels are buckled or they might even be cracked. It's also worth pointing out at the point where the rock was on the apex of that corner, the white line, which is very clear on most of the road, was actually worn away. So a lot of people have got very close or even hit that rock in the past. Being on the apex of a corner, you might be able to keep to your lane, but trust me, other traffic doesn't, and therefore there's a much higher risk of you having to wander from between the white lines to avoid oncoming traffic at that particular point than there is elsewhere on the Black Mountain Pass. So if you add the recovery cost, the storage charge, and the 3-hour taxi journey you also had to go back to Lampeter in Wales, that rock could have easily cost someone £6,000. Luckily, I had a spare set of wheels, but that was more luck than judgment because I didn't like the original grey wheels that the car came with. But if you haven't, then, as I said, refurbishment may not be enough. You may have to go to Audi and get some wheels. For newer R8s in particular, it's much harder to get second-hand wheels. Same going because for Porsches. Okay, now let's talk about the RAC. They quote an average wait time of 60 minutes. Obviously, I was in a remote area. It was a bank holiday weekend. It was never going to be that quick. But having said that, it was a Saturday afternoon, which on normal weekends and bank holiday weekends as well is probably the quietest time because most people are where they want to get to. Both recovery drivers recommended recovery agents that use local operators. So the RAC try and supply their own people because it's cheaper, but after a certain point they have to call in the locals. Green Flag and Britannia just call in the locals. Having said that, if you look at reviews for those, they're pretty bad as well. So, you know, it is potluck really if you're going to be at the side of the road or not, and the best course of action is to be prepared for a long wait. We were lucky, we had mobile phone signal, we had fuel, we had clothes, we had drugs because we'd stayed the night, but most of my trips out are usually for the day, and I don't even take a rucksack. I just take my phone and the house keys and that's it. So yeah, I probably won't do that in the future. As ever guys, thanks for watching this Volks Wizard video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, drive safely, and I'll see you for the next one very soon, which should be a head-to-head between the Mark 8.5 Golf R you saw earlier in the video and the much-loved 7.5 version.